So what would you say is the direct relation between self-esteem or higher self-esteem and our ability to manifest what we need for ourselves in our daily life?
The ability to manifest a higher truth is a rather simple one as well. Again, the word manifest has run into some confusion where humanity is concerned, because it uses this word all too frequently to mean what it can bring into being that is solid, that it can touch and hold. In other words, if someone cannot manifest enough money to purchase something, they do not tend to believe in manifestation or their own abilities to bring forth. So the true manifest word simply means to bring forth or to make room for. It means to invite. It means to allow. It means to access. So manifestation is access to a new idea, access to a new realm. And yes, in that newness, there are the filaments, the fibers, where out of creation itself, it becomes a possibility. The other aspects that bring things into being, things simply follow thoughts. Thoughts come first, things come after. It is easier to manifest a thing or a vision than it is to manifest money, because money has no value. Money has only the value that is temporarily assigned. Every currency has a different face. It has a different value. It rises and falls. It's sometimes desirable and sometimes not. But a vision, a truth, an idea, that has a creative force behind it. And so the being, the human being, can then work with this, manifest this, and bring it forward.
So now that you talk about money, what would you say is the relation between having debt, with the bank or mortgages or getting a house, with self-esteem?
These are very human aspects that humanity has then allowed. You see, in some degree, humanity believes that it is indebted. In some ways, it believes that it is a servant to someone. It believes that it is a servant to God, or a servant to the earth, or in some ways enslaved or chained to its job. And so this belief then also creates debt. If one is indebted to someone else, then one creates a relationship with debt, and it will manifest in other areas of life. So this is a very human concept that has existed upon the earth for a very, very long time. So until humanity again sees its own origin, frees itself from its past ideas, it will continue to owe someone or something, or continue to be indebted. Now, of course, our topic for today is not the world economy, but as you see, because humanity is very indebted to itself, the world is also in debt. Every country is now a debtor country. Every country's economy is related to the other, and in some way, if one is not raised, the other will fall. And so there is to be a rise and fall of many economies now, and this will certainly affect the esteem of many as well. So you see, it is not a good idea to measure oneself or one's self-worth by how much one has accumulated, whether one has accumulated money, or one has accumulated friends, or one has accumulated debt. These are very human ideas. They are not divine ideas. Divine ideas, by the way, are those that exist because they exist on their own, not because a human has made them so. In other words, divine ideas do not necessitate an earth event or an earth human in order to inspire them or carry them forward. They exist because they exist, and they would be present whether or not acted upon or thought upon. There is your definition that may be of use to you.
Why would you say that people nowadays need to identify their worth with what they own to something to say?
Indeed. And they have not been shown another way. They have not been shown what true creativity is, or how each one can create based upon their own nature. Instead, they have been taught to owe or to purchase or to seek from another. You are taught to seek wisdom from another. You see, even this moment is one in which you are seeking wisdom from Gaia. And although I am more than gracious to accommodate, you will see that I reflect back to you a higher truth, which is your own truth, which is your own discovery of self, you see? And so humanity, in order to raise itself now, must find itself of vital importance as part of a whole in relation to all things. And then it will begin to relate to its life, its inner and its outer environment uniquely and differently. And you would see that borders and boundaries begin to shift and to change. This is the direction that humanity is moving toward, and some quicker than others. This is one of the older ideas that permeates the land and permeates society. So even as you are born into this world, it already seems as if there is a debt to be paid or a goal to be accomplished. What will you do with your life? What will you study? What will you learn? It is not enough to be a student of life. One must be a student of a certain trade, or one must have certain talents that one must exhibit that are found worthy in life. Again, from the very beginning, it is success or failure, a measure, and human trait, a human characteristic.
You were talking about the inner and outer side of our capacity to manifest things according to our self-esteem, vibration. I was wondering, are there any signs that listeners can look for, either inner or outer signs, that each is given in a healthy degree of self-esteem?
Indeed. Now, the inner signs are as reflections of light. They are easy to recognize for some individuals, but more difficult for others. However, they are always present. And why? Well, as we have said, human is much more than human, because the human is aligned with the soul. The soul is divine in origin, and in that origin, then, the soul communicates directly with the human self and all of the parts of that human life stream. And so the inner guidance comes from a deep connection with soul. Soul is life. Soul is truth. And so even if I were to ask you a question and your answer were to be, I do not know, at some level, some place within you, you do know. At some level, there is a yes or a no or an understanding of all things. And so there are signs within. And so there is a quiet place within one that simply knows. There is a place within you that knows and knows that it knows without exception. And that inner place will always give one signs. Now, for those that are not in deeper touch, deeper communication with the soul or the deeper self, there can be a reflection of the inner sign without, because all things have a reflection. In other words, light has its shadow, and a tree has its roots, and so all things that have both a visible and an invisible perspective. And so the inner sign can be shown as an outer sign, but one must also train oneself to recognize this. And this requires at least trust in the intuition. a trust in the self. So that when one says, show me a sign, and then receives what one believes is a sign, then there comes the necessity to trust that, to believe in that sign, and not say, oh, that was just an accident, that could not have been right. No, it must be something else. No, I think I'll just keep thinking about it for a while until I can think of a solution. So it comes then from recognizing not only the signs, but even if one sees a sign, there must be trust in the self, trust in the sign, and the courage to take the next step, the courage. Because many times the sign will indicate a different way, a different approach of how to do something or a different direction to take. And it requires courage then to take that next step, even if it were to be in a complete different direction.
Is there anything else you would like to tell the listeners?
Yes.
Like a final message or something you feel about?
Indeed. I will say that all moments are worthwhile, even those that seem the most difficult or the most challenging, because that difficult moment is the one that breathes life into the next one that may be more beautiful, more perfect, or more expansive. All moments upon the earth are worthwhile. We'll say, do not judge by what one sees with the eyes. Whenever possible, close the eyes and see what is there to see, and then take a breath, take a pause, and take a courageous next step. To do so for oneself is to do so for all of humanity. To make a new choice or to make a new life, to discard an old belief, or to encourage a new creative idea is to do so for oneself and for every future generation, for every generation past, for this year and next year and for the next age as well. So be it, sweet one. These are the words that I offer you.